Boom. What's up? We're back. It's Outside the Cinema, your weekly source for cult movie discussions. We're your hosts. I'm Bill. To the right of me is Chris, if you're watching the video feed on Twitch.
Yep.
He's there. Yeah, he's there. He's hooded in a red hoodie.
Bob's Burgers hoodie.
Is that what you're wearing? Bob's Burgers hoodie. So not just red, a Bob's Burgers hoodie.
I also have a Bob's Burgers t-shirt and a Wonder Wharf t-shirt that I want to wear with this, but they're both red, and it's from the same show, so I don't do that, but I want to because they're comfortable shirts.
Super fan.
Yes, I have no problem with that. It's a good show, and they replaced Jimmy Pesto's voice last night, so two nights ago.
All right, well, cool. Welcome back to the show. I first up need to apologize because I did not post the episode. Episode number 813, Hard to Be a Monster, Inside God, to the public feed until this morning.
Oh, okay.
Tuesday, November
7th.
Yeah. I apologize. I had a very busy week last week. I was on location on a shoot for 3 days at the end of the week, so I wasn't home when the show would normally go up. And then my wife is traveling for business. She's been gone since last Thursday and won't be back until this Friday. So I was away, and then she left. My mom came to watch Travis. I came home, and things just got crazy. So I apologize for not posting it. But you know what? If you were on the Patreon, you would have had it on Monday afternoon.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. I can't talk about... It's funny. I can't talk about what I was shooting last week. I was forced to sign an NDA for the first time in my career.
Good.
And by forced to sign, they were like, here's a piece of paper that's basically an NDA. And I don't think it was like a legit... It was like one sheet of paper on one side, and it was like, you are agreeing to not discuss the contents of said project, please, with, like they listed like a bunch of like social media with friends, family, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, I don't care. It was a paid gig. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about outing you.
Yeah, I can understand everybody's apprehension. I mean, you put that much time into it. You don't want.
Oh, did they though?
I don't know. I mean, they hired you. That I know takes at least a little bit of time to find you and hire you, unless they already knew you. I'm not gonna press you because you signed an NDA, and I don't want to go anywhere near that. So
yeah. Oh no, it was a gig that I got from people that I've worked with before.
Okay.
I did not know the people that were doing it. I was like, oh, Bill does a good job.
Oh, good. So you're getting good word of mouth. So nice.
I am. Yeah, and it was a paying gig.
That's always good.
I would love to talk about the experience because it was interesting. I just don't know if it's ever going to see the light of day, considering what it is.
Okay. Now I'm curious when it expires. Let me know.
Yeah, I think it's a 1 year contingent upon them signing a deal.
Oh, okay. So getting distribution.
So.
Right?
Yeah, I guess that's what it would be.
Yeah.
That's
what I'll make sure. Okay.
But yeah, so I know you said you had some stuff you wanted to discuss here at the top of the show. Yeah, we want to get into that
just
now.
A quick update. So I've been doing all that mental health stuff, like testing, coming off of medicine, coming on medicine, and it's been very difficult, to put it lightly. The other day, I woke up and chose violence for no reason I was in control of, and I just went off on two people that I don't know, who I thought were trans and homophobes. They may not have been, but that was the frame of mind I was in, because I was watching, I was binging like news on YouTube, trying to keep up to date with everything. And what I didn't know is how much that would stick in my head and affect me later on. Now, even though I called these people pig fuckers and fuck-faced pig fuckers, because for some,
I mean, and that could mean anything.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It was more of a compliment, but no, but
well, it depends on who you're talking to.
Right.
Yes,
I was completely out of control, and I don't mean like I was just running around like fucking shit up. I mean like I'm playing the new Spider-Man game, and I felt like my brain was taking my body along for a ride. I was completely disassociated from the whole thing. I was trying to tell myself that's too much, and it just wasn't clicking. So after some research, I found out that mental breakdowns with ADHD are not uncommon, because if you don't know how to regulate your emotions, which I don't yet, but I am trying to do, it's funny because a couple days before I said that I'd kept my emotions so tight and so densely packed together that they finally exploded, and it was like more or less like a big bang, like a creation of the universe, except it was feelings in my brain. And the first day, I'm like, this is awesome. I can finally feel like a normal person. The next day, I was just crying. Just everything made me cry. I am not ashamed of what my brain is doing to my body. So I'm going to tell you this. Megalon, I know this is stupid, but hear me out. Megalon is 50 years old this year. Gigan was 50 years old last year. Gigan was released in theaters the year I was born, but on the day that my kids would be born. So not only is he my favorite just because of looks, but now he has like some arbitrary significance that I've assigned to him. So he means a lot.
That's fair.
Same thing sort of with Megalon, because I think the first Godzilla movie I ever saw was Godzilla versus Megalon on Channel 56. So the Godzilla channel, they did that Godzilla versus Gigan Rex CG short a little while back. They did one with Megalon, and the redesign of Megalon is fantastic, but that's not the point. So I'm watching this, and I'm watching these people in suits do all this stuff, and it just struck me that there are like, because everything was so negative, all of my media intake was so negative for so long, it hit me really hard that like there are people out there that enjoy this stuff as much as I do, and they are like Jet Jaguar did the thumbs up to Godzilla when Monster Zero shows up, and like I was happy watching it, but then I was like, it was beyond when I'm like, there are people out there that still want to make this fun, goofy stuff. And that kind of gave me hope. And Ellen said I should write stuff down. And I'm like, I've tried that. Do you know how many notebooks I have in my room? Because you have just as many as I do. So I thought, fuck this. If I'm going to talk about my feelings, I want at least a little bit of feedback. I don't care what kind it is. So I just started putting shit online. And more people came out to support me than I would have expected, than I did expect. I have extraordinarily low self-esteem. I am almost a character of myself on this show. And but this is real, and this is dangerous, and nobody is alone out there. It's taken me over a year to finally get an appointment. I put all this shit out there. Everybody encourages me. I'm like, well, my kids talk about suicide, whether they're joking or not, it doesn't matter. They need to see a therapist. We can't get one for them because they're all fucking booked up because the pandemic made everybody realize everybody's mentally ill.
Yep.
Ritalin is in short supply. And I'm like, I'm never going to be better. I had resigned myself to that last night, that this is going to take years to fix, years I don't have or want to spend to fix this.
Right.
And then at 8:30 last night, I got an email from my doctor that says, set up an appointment so we can talk about what medication. Because I had written her earlier, I'm like, I'm completely off of the SSRI or whatever it is. And that's when I started feeling stuff. So my impression of that is, and I'm not a doctor, obviously, I'm barely a film critic.
Luckily I am a doctor.
Good. So you can tell me. What I think happened is that I wasn't depressed, but the anxiety and depression were symptoms of ADHD. And when I would take the SSRIs, it shut my emotions down instead of releasing them. Because I didn't, it's like when I drink Pepsi at 1:00 in the morning and go to bed, right? It's the wrong medicine for the wrong time. If I had Ritalin, caffeine would make me stay awake because then I'm at a baseline of 0. So my memory is also shit right now for short-term stuff. Part of the reason I got on with you so late today is that I couldn't find the headphones. I do this all the time. I put something down, like I'll put Spider-Man down here, right here, right there, right in front of this other monitor. 10 minutes, I won't fucking remember where he is, but I will because I actually said that out loud. The headphones were hanging.
And you're also looking at
The
him,
headphones
so.
were hanging here on the microphone. It's embarrassing.
Oh, man.
It's
not
no,
embarrassing. It's not.
It shouldn't be, but
I understand why you say that, but and I know I can tell you 1,000 times, and you and I have been friends for 25 plus years at this point.
Yeah.
And I know you pretty well.
I would say so.
And I can tell you 1,000 times, and I can mean it 1,000 times, but you're only going to hear it once. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's the way my brain is. It's not optimized because normal, I think, is like the American dream. It's great to talk about it, but who the fuck has it? So So just for everybody and for my own edification, today I feel okay. I got up. I'm not angry. I also purged social media, my side of social media, of groups, pages, and whatever on Instagram that has anything that could set me off for the next few weeks. I did this back when I was watching all of the murder confessions and interrogation stuff. I thought I could handle it. It's fascinating to watch idiots try and get away with murder, literally.
Oh man, it's amazing.
It is, but it broke me. And the news with Trump's trials, with all the anti-trans stuff, with all the pronouns crap, like I'm ready. That's the stupid part of my brain said everybody is too nice to these stupid phobic motherfuckers. Somebody has to just tell them their shit. And I did that to the wrong person.
Right.
On the other hand, I came to my senses and I wrote back to him and we talked for a little bit. I don't know I know his first name. I can't remember his last name because obviously my brain's fucked. But
it's right next to Spider-Man.
It is. Pepsi. His last name's Pepsi?
Yes, his name is Pepsi.
Or marijuana. I'm not sure. It's one of the two. So long story short, too late. I sent him a friend request and a message that says, hey, I'm in a really bad place and I'm sorry that happened. And I really appreciate the fact that you talk to me. We seem to have a lot of things in common. So I'm going to send you a friend request just because I don't do that. I don't do any of that. I don't message people. Nothing. But I thought I need to do something different. I need to do something I've never done before. And I turned somebody that I hope, because I'm just reading surface level stuff here. I don't know the person, so I can't guess. But I turned a bad situation that I created, I think, into something neutral. Right. And I talked to people I would have just blocked or ignored after I called them names.
Right.
But recognizing and vocalizing to people, just in general, whoever read what I wrote, that I was wrong. That's more people I think need to step up and say, yeah, that might have been a mistake. But that's not what I'm talking about. I need to do that. Right. I need to be a better person. I need to write back to people when they write to me, because if I don't do it immediately, I forget about them. But in 10 days, maybe sooner, because I'm in one of those, if we have an opening, we'll throw you in video call things, I will have the proper medicine for the first time in my life. Everybody's telling me that it's life-changing, and I think that's what was pissing me off too, is like, I know it's fucking right there. If I knew the right people, I could have that medicine right now. Illegally, but I could. And just knowing like that my kids are seeing me do this, and we talk so much about how I'm feeling and what I'm doing, because I want them to be able to talk to me about themselves, because I don't want to walk in one day and find a bisexual, non-binary child hanging from the ceiling, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So I have a lot of anger and fear. Most of it is fear based off of helplessness, that the kids walk out the front door and that's it. I have to just It's terrifying when Ripley almost died last week. Like, I know I'm throwing that in as like here's another thing, like, because she's diabetic, her number went low, but it kept going low. Nothing was bringing it up. None of the boosts, the sugar tablets, or any of that. So she dropped down below the point where she passed out before and had to go to the hospital, but she didn't pass out. But it's still in my head. So if I don't remember details about either of these movies, it's
understandable.
It's been a difficult week, but I was really like this all kind of hinges around like someone I didn't know that I thought just didn't like me because of who I was associated with before at work is just kind. Not like, oh, I'm nice because I have to be, because I'm your boss, because you don't have to be nice to people. But she understands what's wrong with me just by meeting me, and she's really good about it, and being treated with kindness by a stranger who knows how to do things with people whose brains are like this, like, broke my perception of the world and reality, that people can be like that. And that caused me to re-examine everything. So I'm rebuilding what I believe is my reality from the ground up. And I had to face some harsh truths and things that I have been ignoring. But I can say that the relationship between me, my brother, my wife, my kids, you, Frank, and every single person that wrote to me, I'm not going to, I would name names, but if I forget somebody, then I would never stop thinking about it. So You guys all know who you are. I don't want to make a mistake, and I'm sure you understand, and thank you. So yeah, it's great. It's fun. It's
well,
but it's getting done.
I feel like
it's getting done. That's the important part.
Right. And I feel like so many people deal with this, and I'm in like, so like, I don't really use Facebook anymore. So like, I didn't really know, like, I knew that some of this stuff was going on, and I don't jump into the middle of that stuff. You know what I mean?
For weeks, I had been very minimal contact with Facebook for weeks.
Right.
And
I am in general, but like, I know that you and I have, 3 hours that we're going to chat together every week. And most of the time we catch up with stuff.
Yeah.
And so like, Facebook is a place that every time I go there, I get bombarded with shit that I don't want.
Yeah. I've been getting a lot more
Which
ads.
is why I started that OTC group chat attached to the group there, because I'm like, well, these are the people that I would like to chat with.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that.
So it's like, I miss so much, because Facebook is a place that I don't want to spend my time.
Yeah.
And as much as I try to curate my feed or whatever to be like, this is what I want to see, Facebook finds a way to show me stuff I don't want.
Yeah, because all your information is sold. And if you go online and you're looking up like something stupid like costume designs from like Nazi era Germany because you have a project to work on, that's going to find your way into your Facebook feed. And I totally agree. You don't want that. My Instagram account is people that I know and am friends with and have met through this show, and animals, artwork, costumes. It's not fluff, but it's I've gotten rid of all of the Trump is dead now, like that's it, he's dead in the water, and it's like you don't have a fucking story yet. And I appreciate and I understand how difficult it is to get noticed on Facebook, but sensationalized headlines that don't pay off, that's one of the reasons I stopped going on Facebook.
Yeah.
Clickbait.
And honestly,
that's what it is.
Honestly, I think one of the reasons why our show in the last few years has either kind of gone backwards in listenership or is not grown at all is because we don't buy into any of that.
Well, yeah, if we don't advertise, nobody's going to know about us.
Well, that's the thing. And like, I'm not going to lie. We've had opportunities to like bring in sponsorships, and they're limited compared to what they used to be or compared to what other people do. But nobody really wants to work with us because we're not going to sensationalize things or like we just do the same show every week.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're going to talk about different movies. You learn a little bit about our lives and things that we're interested in. And every now and then something will come up.
Yeah.
But I'm not about to create thumbnails that are like, I did like 4 or 5 videos on YouTube where I created like catchy thumbnails or whatever.
Right.
And like, I'm like, this is not who I am. This is not what I do. I'm like, this is stupid. Yeah. So like, I am very much become, and you can appreciate this too. Like, I'm going to stay in my lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to get to where I need to get to, and everything else can happen around me. And I'm going to do my best to just not get fucking involved.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless it's in my face or affects my children in the physical world, I have to just walk away.
Yeah. And as much as I want to carry a flag for things and I want to be able to, it ends up hurting me more in the long run than you know, it's like, yes, I'm going to support the causes that I want to support, but like, I can't, like, you know, we had a Black Lives Matter sign in front of our house. Do you know how many fucking times it got stolen?
Oh, Ellen asked me she said, I know we support it, but we're going to have problems. And I begrudgingly. Yeah. I'm like, it felt like a betrayal, but like safety's a whole nother thing. There's a lot of conservatives spread around Massachusetts like pepper.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need to get into that.
But like you never know. You never know what's gonna set somebody off the wrong way. And I mean, we have pride flags here because fuck you if you have a problem with that, you knock on my door.
Right.
Because that directly affects us. I'm not saying that, you know, racism doesn't. There's no way I'm going to come out of this sounding good. So Ellen was worried.
You're doing okay.
Ellen was worried about repercussion, and after about 6 weeks of us talking about it, we took it down. So we had it up for like 3 or 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, so do we. We had it up. I mean, we had a bunch of them.
Yeah, well, I got mine from you guys. Yeah.
So all right. Hope you're well. Hope all our listeners are well. Anyone, if you ever want to talk, like out there, like, you know, like, I'm not going to see posts, but if you ever want to chat with me about whatever, you can get in touch with me through Messenger, and I'll fucking give you my phone number, and we can talk. And
some
like
people,
anybody out there, not even just the fans of the show or whatever. Although I guess you wouldn't probably hear this otherwise, but
who knows?
All right, let's get this. Are you good? You want to anything else you want to get off your chest, or should we talk about these Asian movies?
I went out on Halloween dressed as a Ghostbuster and talked to people, which is totally outside my comfort zone. I also dressed up.
I saw the photos. You look good.
I dressed up and walked around work with music playing and the speakers working, and I talked to people, and that is so not me. But I'm gonna sound stupid for a second, but I'm sure anybody that dresses in costume can understand that wearing this proton pack, which the fucking lights off. I had turned it on to have some background lights, but it's way too fucking bright in here. That pack is something I've always wanted to be, a Ghostbuster. I don't care what age I am. It's awesome. It's cobbled together homemade tech. It's my favorite kind of thing. And walking around with it, I actually felt good because I'm doing something I wanted to do. I was walking around on Halloween with the Trioxin theme playing with my wife and 2 kids. And they're in costume.
Badass.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I missed out on a lot of that because my brain would tell me, fuck that, you don't need that. But it's wrong. It's wrong. One of my doctors called it's the asshole brain, and you have to learn to shut it down. And the panic attacks, I'm actually learning to recognize and stop them. I have to get up and go somewhere completely different to fix them, but I know when they're going to happen. But this last emotional fucking tsunami came out of nowhere, and I just let go of the wheel. My brain's like, fuck it. Jesus isn't here either. We're going to go where we go. And it was like Toonsis driving off the fucking cliff. It was scary, but now I know what to look for with that. And then, of course, in 10 days, I shouldn't have a problem at all.
Hopefully. So, fingers crossed, knock on wood, all that.
Anybody in the past, unless it was personal, that wasn't me. It was absolutely. And I take responsibility for my actions because I'm not going to blow it off and say it's not my fault. That's not the person I want to be. And that's not the person I'm trying to be. I slipped. And even the person I yelled at is like, dude, everybody slips.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's true.
I don't, it's not that I don't deserve. See, that was my first thing, is I don't deserve that kind of, but everybody does. Everybody deserves to be treated with kindness and compassion. And that's a difficult thing for me to do. People complimented the pack, and I'm like, I did modify it, but I bought it. I didn't make it, but I'm not good with compliments. I'm trying to give them to people, which is really weird. Right. I don't like that feeling at all, because
I don't like telling other people things.
Yeah, because when you compliment somebody, it basically opens you up for rejection. Like even just a little.
Yeah.
Why are you talking to me? Or a look. Like I can snowball that into my brain, into, I'm the worst person in the world that they have ever met.
Yeah.
So I would stay away from that. But I did, in the middle of my fugue state, write to my boss and say, you don't have to be nice to me, but you are. And I want you to know that because you were, a lot of things have started to change, because I realized that I have value as a human. Mm. And that's difficult to come to a conclusion of, I would say. But I think my ego died during the whole thing. My pride, except for my job. If you insult something in my theater, I'm going to get mad at you. Because
that's fair.
Because IMAX was there last night, and it is as close to perfect as IMAX can get their own system, which is our tolerance for convergence was off by a half of a pixel, and it's not at all anymore. Yeah, that's how fucking tight we keep that theater. So anybody that insults it, knowing like how much time I put into inspections and going over the images and just sound and doing all of it, after work tests and all that. If you come in and you're like, I just don't like how this fisheye lenses, is like, well, that's our theater. I'm sorry. But I'm learning to deal with that as well, because if my boss is sitting there and somebody's bad mouthing the theater to her, they're not talking to me. Right. And I did say I don't like these people way in the past, because they said stuff when they didn't think anybody was listening. Mm. But it's work, and I just let it go because they're wrong. Our theater looks really good, and actually our tech came up and said, I got a couple of emails, because he's the tech for our theater, so that stuff gets forwarded to him internally in IMAX, that industry people came to the museum, saw our stuff, and was like, it looked fantastic. And that's
amazing.
That just overrode everything. It was like putting icing on an ugly cupcake. Your theater's not good enough. Chocolate. All done. So I appreciate you giving me the time to talk, because this was the Absolutely. Roughest week I've had. But also, I know now why I was late for everything, because I don't recognize time. But since I started taking the bupropion,
in your defense, dude, you never have.
No,
like you've always, since I met you, you've always been late.
Yeah, because I've had ADHD, and I was fucking diagnosed with it when I was 6. and never medicated because my parents didn't believe in medication. So, hey, let's just fuck up this kid's life for the next 50 fucking years and keep telling him he's fine and doesn't need anything. I had to discover that there's a lot of anger underneath some stuff here. But all of the, do you know, since I started taking the Wellbutrin, I wake up between 6 and 7:30 every morning, and I am never late. Ellen turned to me the other day out of nowhere and was just like, "What time is it?" And I said, "It's probably like 7:36." And it was 7:38. I hadn't looked at a watch in hours.
You were off by 2 minutes, so.
Yeah, but I'm usually 25 minutes late. So I don't have that moment where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go to work. And then I'm in the car and I'm like, why the fuck did it take me 20 minutes to walk out the door? Because I'm forgetting shit, because it's a whole thing. And yeah. Anyway, yeah, let's talk about these movies for a couple minutes.
All right. So, 31 minutes into the show.
Yeah. Well, it's the biggest thing that's ever happened
picks this week. 2 Patreon picks this week. Andre's pick of Sonatine and Shane's pick of The Eight Masters, 2 different Asian films, 1 Hong Kong film, 1 Japanese film. If you are one of our Patreon members, feel free to send us some flicks. I think starting next week, we're going to probably take a break from Patreon picks and start 2013 films.
Okay.
Actually, I got to figure out a schedule for next week because I'm going to be in Florida from Monday to Thursday.
Okay. Well, my work schedule
So
is pretty light because all our big stuff is this week. So
cool. So yeah, maybe we'll record over the weekend or something. Either way, doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's which one of these do you want to do first?
Do the older one first.
All right, so The Eight Masters.
While you play the trailer, I gotta get another drink.
Yeah, I don't have one ready to go, but I'm sure I can.
Oh, that's
find
fine.
One.
We can just go.
Oh no! I mean, you said you wanted to get a drink.
It doesn't matter. I have children home because it's election day and they don't have school. I can make.
Well, The Eight Masters. The thing with that is it comes under a number of different titles.
That's true.
So I don't even know if there's like a U.S. trailer for it.
And it would sound a lot like all the others, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would sound. There's no trailer I can find, but it'll sound a lot like this. Let's just.
It's now my turn to take the test.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds. Yeah, the whole thing is going to sound like pretty much like this.
Yeah.
So that's not even a trailer. That's just a clip. That's just a clip from the movie itself.
Makes sense. Yeah.
All right. Let's jump in here. The Eight Masters, known under a few different titles. It's also part of a loose trilogy of the 18 Bronzemen. Ba de Man Pai is the original title. It is starring Carter Wong. You know him best as Thunder from Big Trouble in Little China. Yep. Chen Yu Leng, Fei Long Huang, and Ling Chia. So this was Shane's other pick. We don't do. Honestly, when was the last time we did like a Hong Kong martial arts flick? It's been quite a while.
We had a run where we were doing a bunch of all over Asia content with like the little guy. I want to call him Pen, but that's the penguin from Neon Genesis. Yeah, Wing Wang. Ding dong. I'm sorry. That's not fair. That's racist. I'm just rhyming and I realized I'm an asshole. That's wrong. No, I have no ill will toward him except he looks like an arrogant person in a lot of his movies. But anyway, so I think that might have been the last time when like we because we had talked Machete Maidens Unleashed and stuff like that. But
we haven't done. And we've done obviously we do a lot of Asian horror.
We did do a samurai supernatural, not samurai, but a supernaturally kind of sword fighting thing where it looked like a play. It was set up like a play. There was painted backdrops, and it was a kind of a claustrophobic set, and I don't remember what it is, but I remember there being water and hiding in the water in a lake. That was like a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the years, we have done a lot of like your classic, I hate the term chop socky, but that's...
yeah.
It's, But we've done them over the years, but we haven't done one in a fair amount of time. And Shane brought this one to our attention. It is directed by Joseph Kwao, who also did. I'm gonna murder these. Ninja Death 2, Ninja Death 3. Oh, and the original Ninja Death.
Oh, well, that's fair.
36 Deadly Styles, Mystery of Chess Boxing, World of the Drunken Master, The Old Master, Dragon's Claw, Dancing Kung Fu, Born Invincible, Immortal Warriors, The Shaolin Brothers, 7 Grandmasters, 8 Masters, Return of the 18 Bronzemen. So The Blazing Temple, Return of the 18 Bronzemen, and 8 Masters are a loose trilogy of the Bronzemen. The Bronzemen show up in this film very briefly.
But they weren't really bronze, were they?
So not the Blazing Temple. The 18 Bronzemen,
Okay.
Return of the 18 Bronzemen, and the 8 Masters are all in the same universe. So I'm just running through the rest of his stuff here and see if there's anything that we had covered in the past. And I don't think so. I think this is our first flick of his that we have covered.
Yeah, I actually, when I'm clear on this, I looked back and I didn't remember anything. But there's a lot of cross-referencing titles to make sure, and that takes a while.
And so we've said this in the past when we've done kung fu and martial arts flicks. We are not an authority on this stuff.
I'm not even close. I'm going to admit that I'm not even close to knowing as much as I would to feel even a little confident.
I don't know the subtle nuances of things. I don't know any of the history or the symbolism of things.
Right.
It is almost all completely lost on me.
Yeah. Geography,
so understand
cultural, all of it. It's like, and it's set in the past, which is something that I don't know the history of that era.
No idea what the political climate is or any of that stuff.
Right.
So this is a 1976 release. It's available to watch in the U.S. on Plex, on Tubi, and Freevee. The version I watched on Plex, though, the sound got out of sync at the end of it.
Oh.
Which I thought was kind of weird. I had a digital copy of this that I ended up watching the end of it. So I don't know if that was I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. So without going into like the depths of stuff here, this is most of these martial arts films from these time periods are very simple stories. They're usually revenge stories, and this is sort of a revenge story.
Yeah.
So you have Chu, who is rescued from a house as a child. The film opens up with a battle between two men, and then a guy running into a house and basically showing up and being like, "I have to get the child out of here. I worked with your father. He's no longer with us, but the eight masters are coming to kill you." We don't know why or anything. And he gets attacked trying to get the child out of there, but he eventually gets the child out of there. And then he brings him to the monks at the Shaolin Temple. He then dies from the injuries he sustained in the fights, getting him out of there. And then we get a number of training sequences for Chu, who's then training with the monks. And we get your basic like different, him training, him getting older, and then by the time he reaches manhood, the Shaolin monks you need to go out and you need to pay your debt.
Yeah.
You need to go and return to your mother, and then the daughter of the man that died in the process of getting you out of there was brought to her, or she had to find her. You need to pay, go and repay your debt. And he takes all the teachings with him, and then it's the travel back to meet the mother. So she's blind which is not completely told to you, but you figure it out because he carries her around on his back and stuff. But so he's been trained, but his whole thing is that he's not going to fight. He's not going to be, taking on the challenges of the eight masters. He's not, he's only going to fight when he's like absolutely forced to.
Yeah.
What were the three things that he was told that I meant to write it down and didn't? But the Shaolin monks give him
three things I remember. I remember what they were. Serve the public trust, protect the innocent, and uphold the law. I'm playing the RoboCop game.
I know, but essentially that's not. It was basically
I don't remember at all.
No, it was basically like don't fight if you don't have to.
Oh, the
Respect
typical kung fu
Yeah.
teachings. Yeah.
Yeah, the respect others
Yeah.
and don't take any unwanted lives
Yeah.
is what it really
Yeah.
kind of came down
It's
to.
like a grim Mr. Miyagi.
For the most part,
Don't
yeah.
kill.
So what this film does, obviously, like so many other martial arts films, it's a whole bunch of fight sequences. But what this film does that others don't really do is they do give you a pretty solid story to work off of. Whereas most of them, it's just like, I've got to take revenge for you killed my father. I got to take revenge. And then it's, 90 minutes of screaming and yelling and fighting.
I'm gonna be honest. That's how it felt to me because I half of the movie I was like, this is so just boring by the books checklist. Wait, is that thunder? And then I'm like, I am purposely going to change my mind about this and watch this in a positive mood. Once I knew it was him, I could appreciate him. And I'm like, well, he's a handsome dude and he's good at this stuff. And I see why he was chosen by Carpenter. He's good. I'm not necessarily a fan of the story. It's kind of basic. They threw extra stuff in. Yes. And they
it's
added
run-of-the-mill,
some conflict,
no doubt.
But knowing an actor from something that is like so, well loved really pushes it beyond. It helped me it helped me actually pay attention, to be honest.
Right. So there's a lot of jumping from thing to thing in this. We get the training or the training stuff, and then he's going to take on the Bronzeman in the temple to complete his training. Gets to the mother, and then the eight masters show up, and they're like, you owe a debt to us. We're challenging you. You have to fight. He's like, well, I'm not going to fight. And then they do all these things to get him to fight. They kidnap his mother, and then his mother kills herself so that he can live, but it didn't really make a whole lot of sense.
No, there wasn't.
And also,
there wasn't any build up to the massacre that left him at the Shaolin Temple. There wasn't enough about the parents.
But and that's the thing is, we know that his father was killed by the eight masters, but we don't know why.
Yeah, why would it go down to his son? I thought they had more honor. They were more honorable in these kind of movies than that to kill a child. They did wait, obviously, until he got older, but I don't know. The whole a pox on your family and a curse on your 10th grandson or whatever.
Yeah, and they pull a couple things where one of the women is working with the bad guys, but then one of the women isn't who she thinks she is, and there's some interesting stuff going on there. But what I definitely noticed in this is, I say I'm not, I don't know the ins and outs of martial arts films and stuff, but I do know that I've seen a bunch of them. And what I did notice in this that was a little bit more interesting is the way that it's shot. There's a lot more handheld stuff in this than you see in a lot of other martial arts films from this time period.
Yeah. I wouldn't have registered that till you
well, there was a couple times.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and there was a couple times specifically where he was fighting in the foyer of the temples or whatever, and everything is on handheld. Where you're used to seeing that shot from a tripod halfway across the thing with a 50mm lens or something, and they're looking in, and it's just kind of a back and forth. Whereas this is a lot of cuts and a lot of handheld movement, which I actually found pretty interesting and a different way to shoot this stuff than you're kind of used to seeing from the Shaw Brothers stuff or the Golden Harvest stuff from the time period. And I looked up a little bit about that, and I saw a couple of different reviews that did make mention of Kuo's opportunity to try to do something different here, and they specifically called out the fact that it was handheld. Because at first I thought maybe I'm crazy and I'm just I've seen it before, but it was different. It was different. So. But Carter Wong is great in this. I think he looks the part. Yeah. He moves very well. His martial arts skills are very much up there. The film does not offer you a lot in terms of anything you haven't seen before other than in the camera work.
Yeah.
And everything kind of, when it starts to happen, happens very fast. I know when he finally decided that he's going to fight the eight masters, I was like, oh man, he's going to have to fight 8 of these guys.
Right,
but then it's bang, 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 bang. He goes in, I'm here to fight the master. They're like, no, you're not. And then he beats up all the guys, and the master comes out and is like, all right, let's fight. And then it's boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then he does the 3 things in his head. I will not I will not hurt. I will not fight, whatever. And then he's on his horse riding to the next one. Then he's like, boom, I'm going to fight the master. And they're like, no, you're not. Oh, I'm here. I'm going to fight you. Boom, 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 boom. All right, on the horse. Go to the next thing.
That was
he fights.
Honestly refreshing. Honestly.
It was. I didn't look at how much time was left, but I was like, oh, he's got to do 8 of these masters. And they're all super innocuous, and none of them matter except for the girl that he fights, and then when he fights the last guy. And that's where this film really got me, was in that final battle with the guy, because all of the fights leading up to this have just been like very standard. Like, what Carter Wong does with his hands is super interesting, because every single fight he's in, I shouldn't say every, but almost every fight he's in, his opponent is fighting with a weapon and he's just using his bare hands.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool. But when he gets to the final guy and he ends up like sitting on the throne and turning into the back room, and then we get the like nameless, faceless ghouls that just kind of show up out of nowhere. And then he beats them, and then he moves to the next room, and he's like, come on and fight me, you coward. He's like, oh, you call me a coward? Try to beat these monsters.
Right.
And they're the same 4 monsters that he just fought, only they're wearing white instead of black.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he fights them and beats them, and then the other guy comes out, and he starts throwing poison darts at him. And then he's like, it's great. It's the end of the movie is a lot of fun, because it takes what they've done, and they're just like, all right, let's do 25% more.
Yeah, yeah. I was okay with that. I started this whole thing off with like, this is going to be boring, because I'm past, I guess is a good way to say it. The 1, 2, 3, 4 like robotic kung fu, where it's like you throw a kick, I block, and you stop for a second, and then you go and you move to a pose where you're ready to attack, and then you do, and that's 2 moves, and it's almost like on a beat. And then you watch Ip Man decades later, and you're like, oh, look, fluid martial arts. That's the only thing that kills it for me, is the old stage style fighting that they do, because I can't think of a better way to describe it.
No, you're right.
But I was okay with it.
4 guys with swords can't seem to stab the one guy that doesn't have a weapon. Like,
yeah, I'm not gonna.
It is what it is. All right, let's grade it, right?
Yes.
All right, Chris, do you recommend, and what is your grade for the 8 Masters?
All right, initially I would not have recommended this. The old me would have been like, you've seen this shit before. But Carter Wong comes across as a great leading man, and you really do feel that he embraces something a little bit more meaningful than what the Shaolin are trying to teach him, and he's am I wrong thinking he's just like a reluctant pawn in their game?
That sure seems that way.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because he kind of handled himself like, I don't want to be part of this bullshit, so I'm going to do your job, but fuck you. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I got that too.
So yeah, I'm going to recommend it, but I think I'm only going to give it a C, because it's very similar to everything.
Yeah.
It has its differences, which you definitely pointed out, and I do acknowledge and appreciate. I'll go B-. I had fun with it once I knew who the guy was. I can't. Yeah, I'm trying to. It was enjoyable. It's not a waste of time to watch. So. Yeah,
and it's pretty short too. So that always helps.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you, man. I'm gonna recommend it. I'm gonna say that if you're like trying to dip your toes into martial arts films, it's probably not the place to start. But it's definitely something that's worth watching. I think there are some subtle differences in the camera work and some of the storytelling in this that is more interesting than a lot of the contemporaries that it's probably lumped in with. The fight scenes are choreographed, pretty standard, but they're good. Carter Wong looks great.
Yeah. Great costumes always in these.
Yeah. You look really good. I'm going to give it a B- also. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
It's not, and so I guess we got to thank Shane, because it's not something I probably would have dug out to watch.
No, I've definitely heard the title, but it just never made it.
It sounds like every other film, from this time period.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
But it's good.
Thank
it's
you very
good
much,
to
Shane.
give stuff a second look. And be like, was I wrong?
For sure.
Because usually I'm wrong.
For sure. Next up, Sonatine or Sonatine.
Yeah.
Sonatine?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sonatine.
I don't know. Takashi.
All right, so this is
Takashi's
Andre's
movie.
suggestion. Yeah, so this is Andre's suggestion. And he sent me an email and he said he had also suggested it for the projection booth, whose copy we watched. So Mike sent it to me. But this film got a lot of notoriety because Quentin Tarantino really likes it. He released a version of it through Rolling Thunder Pictures.
Oh, okay. Is that how it's wedged in my head, but I don't know how?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. So, all right. So Sonatine, here we go. Here's a trailer. It's a quick one, though, I promise. All right. All right. Takashi Kitano wrote, directed, starred, edited. He did all of it. He did all of it. So Takashi Kitano, he became well known to world film audiences through this run of films. He did 3 Yakuza films. This was the third. It was I don't have them in front of me. Violent Cop. Sonatine, what was the second one? Blinding Rage?
We covered Violent Cop, didn't we?
I don't know. It's come up a number of times over the years.
I know I
don't see it checked off on the list
seen
here.
stuff where he's they could fit that title. I've seen movies that he's made.
Right. Well, he's also a very very well-known actor.
Yeah.
A
comedian
Japan prior to this.
A
comedic actor at that. Yeah.
Two-person comedic act. Yeah, that's where he got beat. I guess they were called the Two Beats. So Beat Takashi. Now, did that turn into Beast later when he started making these movies where he scared the shit out of the entire world just by looking at the camera?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, because I thought I had made that up in my head. But it's real. That's fair. This man is the scariest motherfucker on the other side of the planet.
Boiling Point's the second one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Michael Shannon and Takashi scare the shit out of me.
Understandably so.
I'm not if he was to show up outside of his Takashi's Castle outfit, I would run. I would just I'm leaving. Nothing good is going to happen with this man around. And nothing does in this movie.
Yeah. So this film is interesting because it kind of takes the Yakuza genre and shows it in a much more kind of like mundane way. So Kitano plays Murakawa, who is a elder Yakuza high-level lieutenant, and really just kind of gives you the slice of life of him. We see him early on and how he's just disinterested in virtually everything related to what they do in the Yakuza world. And that's kind of an ongoing thing with this, where there's like this ultra violence around him and he's just like stoic and uninterested and unaffected by everything going on around him.
But to me, I felt like the people he was around didn't read that from him, and they saw him as like a terrifying boss. Like, not that he's like, I don't give a shit, but if you just stand there and stare at somebody, like, you're a sociopath. He does come off as sociopathic in this, and I'm not, not exaggerating, but he at one point he smiles at somebody that he's been shooting, and then he shoots him again while he's smiling. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's messed up.
that was the most terrifying thing. I'm gonna admit that real life gangsters, like no thank you.
It's fair.
The tension, the backstabbing, the anxiety, the plans within plans, getting this person out of the way. You know how it's all portrayed, but how it really happened around here in Boston with Bulger and stuff too. I used to be, because obviously I'm mentally ill, scared to death that I would bump into the wrong person. And that's it. I am on the end of a crane in Boston Harbor, like this movie.
Right.
And that's, you know, gangsters are portrayed as people that will be your friends up until the point they pull the trigger.
Right. Right.
I can't deal with that. So I had a hard time with this.
That's fair. That's fair. So we're introduced to everyone, at the top of the film, where they're trying to shake down a Mahjong parlor owner for money, and he's like, "Listen, I'm not paying you guys." So we get our first real taste of things there, because they're basically like, "Well, you're gonna pay or you're gonna fucking die," and he's like, "You can't threaten me or whatever." So then they go to a meeting with the boss. The boss is like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna send you to Okinawa. There's two gangs feuding there. One of them's asking for our help, so you're gonna go there." And he's kind of like, "Well, that seems kind of weird."
Yeah, Okinawa, right? They're sending him to Okinawa.
Yep, Okinawa.
Right,
So then he goes back. They kidnap the Mahjong guy and they tie him to a crane and like start lowering him into the water to shake him down.
I almost quit at that point. That's horrifying. Drowning to me is
it's terrifying.
yeah.
But the thing is, so his main right hand man is this guy Ken, and they're discussing things and they're like, "Listen, there's something about this Okinawa trip that doesn't seem right. Like, why are they sending me? Like, this is not my thing." So he's beginning to think that, like, well, these guys they're looking to take me out.
Yeah.
And that's where the whole kind of thing comes from. And so they accidentally kill the Mahjong parlor owner because they put him underwater for 3 minutes. I read it as it was an accident, and they brought him up, and they're like, "Oh,
okay, all
right, we'll cover this up."
Right. I read it as we killed him too early. We were gonna kill him, but not on the second dunk.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
whatever. I mean,
whatever.
We both have valid takes on that.
So, they go to Okinawa. They're greeted. He's sent, and the thing too is he's sent with like a group of like very young Yakuza henchmen guys that are not ready for what they're walking into and are not prepared. And he's like, "There's something like, this just isn't right."
Yeah.
So they go to Okinawa. They meet with the guys that are from the other gang, and immediately they're not concerned. These guys from the other gang are just kind of like, "Hey, yeah, it's not a big deal." There was like a slight skirmish. Somebody got shot that wasn't supposed to, but nobody's really. It's not a big deal,
right?
So I don't really know what you guys are here for. And then he's like, "Okay." So they go down, and some stuff happens, and there's then a shootout, or they blow up the office, and a few of the guys get killed, and then they're going to mourn, so they go to a bar to mourn, and then some of the guys from the other gang show up there, and a shootout opens up. And this is really the like point where they really illustrate this is not like other gangster films and not like other Yakuza films, because there's no like slick editing. There's no like, literally these guys start shooting each other. They just stand up where they are, turn their guns on each other, and just start firing. Nobody is trying to duck out of the way. Nobody is trying to like keep from getting shot or take cover. Even the other patrons in the restaurant aren't reacting to it. And it's like Takashi Kitano he's just like standing there, and he's just holding the gun, and he's just like shooting it. Yeah. And like some of the guys get shot, some of the guys don't get shot, and that's just how it is.
Yeah. It's like none of them. They're like, "I'm gonna do what I need to do, but I don't give a shit if I die."
And that comes up many times.
Yeah.
So now they realize that they're under attack. So they head to the coast. They go to one of the guys has a brother that has a home on the coast, and they're basically waiting it out. Trying to and then one night when Murakawa is out and about, a local man is attacking this girl. and is trying to, probably trying to give her the surprise sex.
Yeah, that's a nice.
It.
That's a nice but awful way to describe it.
Dark way, yeah. And so he sees Murakawa there, and is like, "Oh, you pervert, trying to watch what's going on." And in my head, I'm like, "You're trying to rape this girl, and you're calling this guy a pervert?"
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Murakawa just shoots him in the stomach 3 times.
I mean, he's killing a rapist. I'm kind of on his side there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. But the thing, too, is like, in the way that's shot, they don't show it.
Yeah.
They just show it from their shoulders up, and you hear the gun go off 3 times.
Yeah.
And his expression doesn't even change, which just goes to show how he just does not care anymore. Nothing affects this guy anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. His face when he's shooting people is what I got lower gut ice chills because he's a fantastic sociopath on screen.
Absolutely. So without kind of going through it scene by scene and stuff, the girl sticks around. She's enamored by him and how he can kill and not affect him. So then as they're isolated at this beach house, they start to play games with each other. Some of them extremely childlike, some of them not childlike in the way that they're going to play Russian roulette with a gun.
Yeah.
And but they very much paint the picture of the younger guys and how they're inexperienced and they're playing games that don't really have consequences. But then when Murakawa gets involved, these same games that they're playing then could have dire consequences. Why did I just get a thumbs up next to my face?
I don't know.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was really weird.
Well, do we have people watching?
I don't know. I don't think so.
All right. If somebody saw this and did it, do it again.
It was weird.
I think that's interesting, the way that they show that the younger generation of Yakuza have to mature. And they really are just immature kids. And, I'm not in Japan, so I'll say this. I think gang members also are stunted children that
I think so too. Yeah, I agree.
Everything comes from your childhood and it builds who you are. So there's got to be reasons. I mean, obviously you're forced into it. That's a possibility. Some people like with 8 Masters, it's like, oh, is this something I have to do? Fuck, I guess I have to do what you want me to do now. And Murakawa's doing the stuff that people expect him to do. He's just not doing it with the any level of enthusiasm or passion for his work. And I know that's a weird way to describe a sociopathic gangster murderer, but
no, but I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And one of the things too, that if you look at reviews, it's really split down the middle with people that love this movie and people that hate it, because you get the people that are expecting a John Woo style action shoot 'em up movie. And this is the complete opposite of that. And people love it for both, both reasons, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So as it kind of plays itself out, Murakawa is able to figure out what's going on, and without spoiling anything in case somebody hasn't seen this, there's some stuff going on. He's not necessarily wrong and unfounded in his concerns with why he's in Okinawa, and things kind of play themselves out. But it really comes down to the fact that Murakawa is just dead inside and doesn't care anymore.
I mean, it's funny, but it's not that how I was saying at the beginning of the show that too much will just fry your brain. And if we're going on, with suspension of disbelief that this guy has done and seen things that we don't even want to think about. Yeah, his brain is fucking broken and he's done. I get it. I totally get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
I get it. All right, Chris, do you recommend what is your grade for Takashi, Beat Takashi, Beast? What's your grade?
I'm going to recommend it because he's an amazing actor in this. He's I mean, he's stoic and stuff, but there's more to it than just not showing emotion. You have to do more because you still have to come off as a person. So it's a tricky line that I think he balanced on really well. The whole movie gives me more anxiety than I want to have. Just like when I watch people trapped in caves, like real narrow, like when they have to crawl over the bones in As Above, So Below, and there's a mile of rock above them, and they have 2 inches of clearance.
Yeah.
It's not a mile, but I know. But like that,
I know exactly what you mean.
That whole I cannot escape this situation, drowning, space, any of it is just. It's an uncontrollable situation, and so it's a fear for me. Anyway, so I see. I don't know how to rate it. That's the tough part because I liked it and I hated it. So I'm gonna go with a B. I like him. I didn't look too much into the IMDb page for this to see what he did, but if he did all that, this is an achievement for a double act comedian, right? This is Tekashi is sort of like, and this is gonna sound dumb, but he's sort of like a Tom Hanks who was like a Joker and now like one of the most respected actors in America,
right? For sure.
And I love him. I started knowing who he was back in the late 90s, maybe with MXC, where it would take Tekashi's Castle and dub it. And now I have old episodes of it, and it's just fucking weird to see him laughing and not murdering people, but it does show you how much range he has. He's intimidating and fucking scary as the camera pans by him.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Yep. So I'm you know what? I'll give it a B+, but I still don't know if I like it, but he was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I'm gonna mostly agree with you. He is very much the Minoru Suzuki. I don't know if you know who Minoru Suzuki is. He's a Japanese wrestler that is like the most horrifying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like just a look, you're like, man, that guy's gonna kill me. Like
that's how I look at most people, honestly.
Yeah, and I had seen this years ago. It'd been many years. I actually forgot that I actually had seen it before. But it started coming back to me after watching it because I, like most film nerds, if back in the day if Tarantino was put something out on Rolling Thunder, you were like, oh, I got to make sure I watch it. So,
I mean, he has great taste in remixes and foreign movies.
For sure. So it's definitely a recommend. It's definitely a recommend, but it is definitely an acquired taste. It is not like if you're like, I like gangster movies and you like Goodfellas and like stuff like that. It's not Goodfellas.
No, this is a contemplative.
Minimalism.
What have I done with my life?
Yeah.
I need
minimalism
to get out.
is the word to go with this, because there's not a lot of high flying action, and when there is action, like you don't see it, or it's not presented to you the way that you're used to seeing it. But it's excellent. It's an excellent film. He is incredible in it. His job, he was incredible across the board with it. Everything that he did, direct, edit, all of it, excellent. So I'm going to give it an A-. I really fucking enjoyed it, and was glad that I was forced to revisit it. Because it is one of those films where, just like you, I don't know how much I like it,
right?
But I love it. If that makes sense.
I want to say I'm gonna compliment you and brag a little bit. Through the course of doing the show, it's usually been, oh, how's that movie? Oh, it sucks. Right before I, had to put thought into being into saying more than that about a movie, and one of the best things that's come out of it personally is to be able to recognize an accomplishment, something that's well done, or something that's a horrible piece of shit, and you like it regardless.
Yeah,
or don't like it, and it's well made, but we're able to differentiate that, and that took me a long time to get to.
And it's not an easy thing to do.
No, because you want to just have one answer, and that's it. But there's not always one answer.
There usually isn't. I mean, it depends on the movie, but still,
right?
Yeah.
Like, do I like Faces of Death? No. Do I give credit to the guy that created the series for thinking of that? Sure. I feel the same way about Insane Clown Posse, and I always will. Not a fan. Fantastic financial success. Good job.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, Andre. Thank you. Thank you very much for suggesting it.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of, I totally lost my transition there. So we're just going to say Joe watched the second part of The Shining, the 90s version of The Shining miniseries, and I have to pee real bad. So if you're watching live, you're going to see me disappear for about a minute.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris. And hello, OTC Nation. Your boy Joe here, and Bill still has me captive in this hotel in Colorado, and the storm is getting worse. Because he made me watch The Shining, Episode 2. I paused my Stardew Valley game to do this cockamamie bullshit, so they better make with the spooky here. They better make like Tom Atkins in Night of the Creeps and thrill me.
Ooh.
Last week, I watched the first 90 minutes of The Shining, and while I found it better than most of the online reviews I read, it didn't blow me away. Yeah. What it did do was remind me that while we may look back fondly on the 90s, and for good reason, I don't look back fondly on the weirdly blousy denim shirts for men. All the TV movies were filmed with a focus so soft they might as well have been fabric softener ads.
Yeah.
And that this was probably the last time that something like this could ever have happened, because Wi-Fi is now a thing.
Right.
Say what you will about the horrors of modern life, but at least if I'm trapped in a big old fuck-off hotel with a partner who is like right in the middle of a heel turn, I can just hit the emergency gimmick on my phone and, like, to quote Mrs. Doubtfire, help is on the way. We left off last week with Jack, Wendy, and Danny at the Overlook Hotel. They got the tour, and, like, they've been there for about a week or so, and while things aren't perfect, they haven't quite gotten spooky yet. Jack has a big bad drinking problem and is only about 6 or 7 months sober, and he has a really bad habit of hurting his kid. Wendy has made the brilliant decision of wintering in this secluded place with a man that she has almost left like a handful of times before the third commercial break, and a kid who is shitty, ... even for a kid.
Oh.
Danny can't go 3 scenes without either taking a bump like a grizzled old worker or getting his day interrupted by his imaginary friend who probably isn't imaginary. His imaginary friend looks like the nerdy pity friend from like every slasher film from like 1986 through 1993. This fucking kid's imaginary friend looks like he does not know, absolutely does not know how to take him on a fantastical adventure, but can definitely teach him DOS. We all up to speed? Fantastic. Maybe throw a ghost or two in this one. What do you say? Okay, so we are a smidge spookier than the last episode. And it's not like I can't appreciate a slow burn, but I don't know, maybe not this slow. This episode is very much focused on Danny and his powers and his imaginary friend Tony. And fuck, this kid is annoying. There is one thing that I really appreciated here that didn't get touched on in Kubrick's film. So this kid obviously has the shinning and all the psychic baggage that goes along with it. And the hotel is using him as a conduit. That doesn't really get touched on a lot. That, like, if Danny Torrance wasn't there, this probably wouldn't be happening. Tony tells him that he can't let the hotel get into his head and use him, but, like, this kid's fucking, like, maybe 8 years old. Like, that's kind of a heavy concept to drop on someone who, like, just stopped wetting the bed, like, a few years ago. Just saying. It's my only sympathy for this kid. His dad is an abusive drunk. He gets dragged to a hotel with no activities. Like, this is the hotel that your grandpa and Meemaw would go to and tell you that they had a lovely, relaxing time.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
And now he's got a hotel full of ghosts trying to use his noggin to, I don't know,
play croquet.
Do ghost shit.
Croquet.
So while this kid gets on my nerves, I certainly recognize that he is very put upon here. Like, there's been kids with better lives. This kid needs to put his belongings in a handkerchief, put that handkerchief on a stick, and hitch his ass back to Vermont while sad piano music plays. We now establish that Jack's slow descent into madness isn't very slow, because Rebecca De Mornay just showed up in a nightie, rang the front desk bell, and like all sultry was like, "I'd like a room, please." And instead of like stoutly rogering his ultimate MILF of a wife, he complains about writing his play and his kid leaving glasses around.
Divorce.
Yeah, no shit.
Makes sense.
One of
No,
the big
I'm on
things
that.
that spans the book, the OG movie, and the miniseries is that we need to be real here and recognize that there was already a big old bubbling crock pot full of crazy just below the surface with Jack. Like, the hotel didn't really need to try all that hard to crack this guy like Chris Rock in New Jack City. I can relate to this, but with food
a good reference.
instead of familial abuse. Like, if I was caretaking the Overlook, important side note, I would never do this. I live in Michigan. You think I'm going to go to a place that has more snow? I think not. If I was caretaking the Overlook, like, all the bathtub lady would need to do would be like, ooh, spooky 3-pound burrito. And, you know, okay, bathtub lady, I'll eat the burrito. And then the ghostly bartender's like, blah, a ghostly double cheeseburger with a fried egg on it.
Settle down,
Damn it,
Mandor.
food ghosts, leave me alone. I got high cholesterol and I'm from the Midwest. I have enough working against me here. Then the ghost of like former caretaker Grady shows up and is like, you've always had a red velvet cake in front of you, Joe. Beans, you got me, Grady. Now give me a fork, you spectral prick. Oh, yes. So Jack has now demolished the CB radio. Remember, this was made in 1997. CB radios were still a thing. Like, you could still breaker 19 for the rubber duck. Sorry, I made myself laugh with that. And the snowmobile. Everybody's yelling at each other, reminding me of why I don't go to my mom's family holiday get-togethers anymore, and they're saving all of the action for part 3. Most of it. There was a little bit of action here. As I mentioned earlier, read reviews of this online, and the majority are pretty negative. For me, this is just as good as the movie, which is to say I'm liking it, but not loving it. Here's the thing.
All right.
The good. I shit you not. Steven Weber is actually pulling this off.
Good.
I mean, despite my thinking The Shining is a B at best, like The Shining as a whole is a B at best. Jack Nicholson nailed that shit, except for the look on his face when he dies at the end. But fucking Wings is pulling this shit off, I think, just as well.
Love Wings.
The bad. Oh, this fucking kid. Also, this did not need to be 3 90-minute episodes long. I'll wrap up The Shining next week before moving on to Dr. Sleep the week after that. That one actually looks really interesting. So until then, be good, everyone.
Thank you, Joseph. Okay. Here we go. Reverend Scott in the house.
Yes.
He got a new puppy.
Oh, yeah? Is it another Great Dane?
No, it's a pug.
Wow. Okay.
It's
Well, not
adorable.
wow. I mean, okay. Like I'm surprised he got a different kind of dog. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
She's adorable.
Good. I love
He'll
dogs.
send you pics unsolicited.
I want him to. I do.
All right,
I love
here's,
dog pics.
Here's holy shit with Reverend Scott. Right here.
What is that?
I don't know.
Oh, motherfucker. Oh, I love that.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Reverend Scott.
Blow your nose anywhere. It doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, I remember now.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott.
He's a scumbag. He was never really my friend. He only cares about himself.
That's not true. I also care about what you think about myself. Also, I care about how I heard that Chris wasn't sure that he wanted to hear another holy shit from me this week. That was until he heard that I'm a piece of shit.
Oh, he's a piece of shit? Great, let's jump into that. So I was all for it.
Yep.
And this week is yet another week of celebration, but we'll talk more about that later. First, I have to lay my judgment upon thee.
All right. Monster Inside available to watch now on Hulu as part of their Huluween.
Fuck Hulu. So I have not yet watched Monster Inside, but I have watched a long YouTube video by Wendigoon about your friend and mine, Russ McCamey.
That's next on my list.
Tell me about Monster Inside, Bill.
Follows the story of Russ McCamey, the Navy veteran turned master of horror who lures horror enthusiasts.
What was that?
What
was that?
Enthusiasts.
What was that? What was that?
Enthusiasts into his web.
So I've seen enough about this guy to know he is indeed a piece of shit. He's a liar and basically hypes everything beyond the point of all reality. Now that I mention it, this guy's quote-unquote haunted house shares a lot in common with listening to holy shit.
It's torture and abuse.
So you've been awful quiet during my review, Chris. I don't remember. What did you think of Russ?
Fucking slime.
That's okay if you want to be a bit cryptic about your feelings. I get it. After all, he is a future criminal. I only know that because I've seen literally anything he's ever posted online.
Oh, shit. This needs to go to the government, FBI, CIA. This needs to go to somebody.
Well, right now, it's going to me. And I give Monster Inside a C+. But the review gets a B+. So now we talk a bit about last week's Patreon pick of Hard to Be a God. Let's hear a trailer. Fuck, Jesus, no, not that part of the trailer. The other part. This fucking thing was 3 hours long? Well, that must be due to the extensive lore they needed to establish and the story they needed to build throughout.
Its narrative is inconsequential to what you're watching.
Oh, well, fuck. Well, at least it was probably a fun, breezy watch full of Russian bears and vodka shots and
The constant smelling of things and wiping of their noses. Like, there's very much like a constant concerted effort to show people wiping their nose or sticking things in their nose to smell, and things that you shouldn't be smelling, like people like rubbing shit in their nose to smell it.
The
and,
movie
like,
literally starts with a guy getting shit on his face and in his mouth.
Oh, well, fuck. Well, at least you could enjoy the sound design. After all, the director worked for over a decade perfecting...
The movie sounds fucking disgusting. Ugh.
Oh,
But
well,
that's a
fuck.
good thing.
Well, at least at the end of the day, you were able to make it through the whole 3 hours to finally get the payoff of it all coming together to conclude in a fulfilling, coherent, well-crafted...
And I'm not like some guy that just watches Marvel movies and just like happen to fall into this and be like, well, it's fucking garbage because it doesn't make any sense. But part of me is also like, it's fucking garbage because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Oh, well, fuck. Well, at least you can say that you've watched it now and can finally appreciate all the rave reviews it's received over the years. And
Did I like this movie? No. But do I understand why people are like, Hard to Be a God is beautiful, brilliant, a masterpiece? No.
so I give Hard to Be a God a B+ for torturing you both for weeks. And I give the review an A-. You've earned it.
Ugh.
And speaking of ugh, last week was my favorite holiday, Halloween. And this week is yet another holiday, one I'm not so fond of. Because I'm guessing you're recording this on November 6th or so that means tomorrow is November 7th. And that is my birthday.
I knew
fuck
that.
you.
I did know
Your
that.
birthday party's tomorrow. I don't want to throw it. I don't want to be at it. And I hate my life. So go back to fucking bed.
Honestly, I was really hoping last week I'd get an early birthday present and you'd play at least some of that Haunted Mansion theme like you do most Octobers. Or is that off limits now that the throwdown is no more?
We used to go all out for Halloween. Those of you that remember the Halloween Throwdown, a lot of years was a lot of fun until it wasn't anymore. And that's why we don't do it.
Wish I could do the same thing when my birthday comes along. It used to be fun, but now it's just not anymore. So I don't want to do it.
No, I don't need that. I know that I'm okay. I'm all right.
Yeah.
I wish I had more to say about it. I wish I had more to say about Halloween. I mean, we're all going to be clowns this year, but that's about all I know. I can't even talk more about Halloween because it hasn't fucking happened yet at this point.
He had a great story going on, and he fucking shit on it. It could have been so much better.
I guess I should be more like Chris. I heard he's just going to go to the strip club for Halloween.
I can touch boobies and everything. Fantastic.
Or maybe he said he was going to
That
go
went
to the
together
zoo.
too well. So that's wrong.
Whatever. I'm just rambling at this point with no end in sight. And I have no clue what I'm going to do for my birthday this year.
Who fucking cares? Stop him. Figure that out later. Fuck.
You're right. Let's call it here. I'll have a new movie to discuss with you all next week. Not sure why I didn't do it this week.
Yeah, I don't fucking get that.
But until then, peace and love, guys. Holy shit with Reverend Scott. It's my birthday.
It's my birthday!
You better hope you don't let me down, Scott, because if you do, I will kill you. I will kill you dead. Kill you. Dead. Very important, though. Happy birthday. There's your birthday song, Dick. All right.
Yeah, I guess. Happy birthday, you swine.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us through the Theracast. All
Yeah.
the therapy you need, all the therapy you don't want.
Yeah, all the shit you never wanted to hear from me. And I'll have more next week.
Always. We'll be back. Thank you very much to our Patreon picks for this week. Shane's pick of the 8 Masters and Andre's pick of Sonatine. Sonatine. Either way, the dog is very much wants to go outside. So join our Patreon, patreon.com/outside the cinema. OTC Bill, at Cthulhu,
Yep.
the Facebook group, all that stuff. I just talked a lot about how I don't use Facebook. So maybe you should go to the group. So I think it's the only thing I actually look at on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Facebook is like an arcade, and our group is like Dragon's Lair. It's the only game you want to play.
True. Maybe Arkanoid.
Sure.
Might be
sure.
an Arkanoid.
Okay,
So-
we have all the games you want, and none of the ones you don't.
Fair. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. Yeah, we'll be back next week again. How's that sound?
That sounds normal.
Cool. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
This is the end of your rotten life, you motherfucking dope.